Hi friends, welcome back to another video with The Whole RN. My name's Carly and I'm going to be your nurse today. For today's video, I'm going to be talking about fear. It's going to be the first video in a series of videos just about how to heal yourself if you're not working with a nurse coach, or kind of get an idea about some things we can talk about. So let's dive in. Today's video could be a little bit triggering for you. We are talking about fear and the physiological components of fear. But I wanted to begin with a mindfulness exercise to ground us and create a safe space so that you feel comfortable watching this video and you're giving yourself grace to pause and come back if you need to. But let's get started. Go ahead, and if you're sitting, lying down, standing, just really sit, stand, or lie down with purpose. Feel yourself like a mountain, really grounded in this moment. Close your eyes or lower your face, whatever's comfortable for you. And begin by taking one deep breath all the way to your belly. Really let your belly expand. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Good job, that's great. Continue breathing in this pattern. Deeply inhaling, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Continue breathing like that, and allow your body to really relax into this moment. If you feel like you need to stretch, or if you need to just observe any tension that's in your body, just kind of scan from head to toe, find where it is, and just observe the tension without judgment. Continue deep breathing. On your next inhale, I want you to envision just bright, protective white light. It is coming in through your nose, into your body, and hold it there. And as you exhale, exhale any doubts or anxiety, any fear. Continue breathing in this protective white light. I want you to envision on your next exhale that this white light is just filling to every inch of your body. And observe how it feels. Is it energetic? Is it warm? Is it tingly? Just allow yourself to feel this protective white light. And on every inhale, you will just continue filling your body with this light. On your next exhale, I want you to allow this energy and this light to become active within your body. On your exhale, envision it going deep into every cell in your body and replacing any tension, any negativity, any disease or heartache or anxiety. It is going to replace it. And then on your next exhale, you're just going to send all of that back to the earth. On your next inhale, envision white light coming inside you and expanding 6 inches around your whole body. This protective white light is fully around you and within you, and it is nothing but protection, love, and healing. Just breathe in any way right now that feels comfortable for you. And take a moment and really feel grounded in this moment of profound protection, inside and outside. No matter what comes up for you in the rest of this video, you are safe. This protective light is not going to leave you even after you finish this video, so know that you can come back anytime you need and tap into this fully. All you need to do is inhale deeply and visualize this light activating and exhaling anything that's no longer serving you. Go forward with the rest of your day knowing you are safe here and you are loved here. And when you're ready, begin to just wiggle your toes and your fingers. Stretch in any way that feels good in this moment. When you feel comfortable, slowly open your eyes back to the room and allow awakened energy to fill you. Thank you so much for doing this practice with me. I really hope that you enjoy the video, and remember, you are safe here. I'm going to start today's video by talking about something that's kind of a little bit sillier of a topic, but I think it really punches home and makes it tangible in a way that we can all really understand. So when my husband and I got married, we went to Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida. We spent most of our days in Disney World, but we spent one of the days at Universal, and we really wanted to explore Harry Potter World, and we loved it. We go back all the time. We're just constantly learning about the park and awesome new things to do about it. But we were on the Universal Island side of Harry Potter World, and Jeremy was getting us lunch. I was sitting behind the Hogshead Brewery. There's kind of a few tables back there, and you can see the lake and Velocicoaster. And I was just kind of hanging out and relaxing, and he comes around with our food and drinks and sits down, and he is enjoying the view and is like, I really want to go on that ride. And I was terrified. I was thinking to myself, there's no freaking way I can ride that and be okay and not be nauseous the rest of the day, or ride that and actually get myself on it. But we're sitting there and we're eating lunch, and it was probably like 30 minutes, 45 minutes of sitting there watching him watch it and think it's so cool. And I realized we've got to go on this ride. And so I tell him, I'm like, okay, let's do it. But we got to go now, and we got to go fast because I'll change my mind. So I'm taking a deep breath, and we go start walking over there. Luckily, it wasn't a big walk, but we get there, we get in line, and luckily the queue, it was when it had like first opened, so the queue was probably like an hour-long wait. There wasn't fast pass available, and the only option other than waiting in the long queue was the single rider line, and I was like not about to be separated from Jeremy to go ride this ride. So thankfully, because of the long wait and how awesome the queue actually is, I kind of forgot what we were doing, or like it was a little bit, I kind of forgot why we were in this line and really just allowed myself to be immersed in how cool the queue was and all the things you get to see, and how you get to see the real life velociraptors in line when they're getting their veterinary care done. And it wasn't until we got to like that top platform with the big screen that I was losing my marbles. And I kind of was getting a little bit nervous when we were like putting our stuff in the lockers and walking through the metal detectors and realizing like this ride needs metal detectors. Oh my gosh. Like that's how fast and crazy it is. Like you can throw stuff out of your pockets. So once we're up on the platform, we're waiting in line. It's still like another half an hour, maybe less. It just felt like forever that you're up there and you can see people like getting on the ride. And I remember like my hands were shaking a little bit and I was kind of getting like that like sweaty, clammy feeling. And I was just like, this is a bad idea. We shouldn't be doing this. Like, I'm not going to be able to handle this ride. And I was just fearful. We go on the ride and it was the most fun roller coaster I've ever been on in my life. That is my like top most favorite ride, like roller coaster experience. All that to say, I just realized there's a hidden Mickey in my wallpaper. Like not even intentionally, but anyway, I really want to go to the parks, obviously, but okay, we're talking about fear. So the reason I wanted to kind of share this story was because the 2nd through 12th time I rode Velocicoaster, I was so excited. I was so thrilled. I could not wait to get on that ride. But I was having the same feelings in the queue each time I rode it. Even though I knew that the ride was safe, it wasn't going to make me sick, and it was going to be really fun, I was still scared because it is a thrill ride. It does feel like your stomach is coming out of your throat. And every time I get on that top platform with the screen, my hands are a little bit shaky, a little bit clammy, but I'm excited feeling, or at least that's how I'm perceiving it in my brain. And the reason is because fears that are predictable, right? Like I've ridden before, I know what to expect, become excitement to our brain. And that's because we've decided it's safe enough to experience excitement versus fear. The way that fear works in our brain, I'm going to look at my notes just so I make sure I get it right, is that we have this emotional state. The emotional state goes to our thalamus, and our thalamus is like, she's clicking on a keyboard. She's like, oh my God, there's danger out here. Do you see that? There's danger. I've got to send this to the amygdala. So she's typing on a keyboard and she's like sending it over to Stacy, and she's like, Stacy, there's a threat out here. And Stacy in the amygdala is like, oh my God, Clara, that is bad. That's a threat. That's like threat level midnight. Do you hear me? Threat level midnight. So she pushes the button, right? She pushes the big red button, and all throughout your body now is this emotional sensory response going through your body, i.e. stress, through the body because it's threat level midnight. Once your amygdala perceives this emotional state as threat level midnight, it's pushed the red button. You have effectively blocked your frontal lobe from the next few minutes of activity. So your frontal lobe is responsible for your creativity, your logic, your deep thought. If we took the time to think creatively for your first time you're interacting a saber-toothed tiger, you'll probably die. So we need to bypass that whole system and just hit fight or flight, send it. Because of the fight or flight feelings in your body, we're engaging in coping skills that pacify fear without realizing that they are a response to fear. They become our values, our behaviors, and our personality. A way that this will show up in real life is, let's say your grandparents or your great-grandparents probably at this point lived through the Great Depression. And that was a time that we can appreciate you needing to utilize certain kinds of coping skills because there was imminent danger, like food scarcity. A lot of people didn't know where their next meal was going to come from, and the way that this became an unhealthy coping skill was after the Great Depression and everyone is thriving again, so to speak. They're still treating food like we might not know where our next meal is coming from or if we're going to get a next meal, so we're just going to eat everything. So as time goes on, their kids have kids and their kids have kids. We're here and you don't necessarily know why, but you do know that we eat everything on our plate. There's just like this culture in your family of overeating. And it came from needing to overeat because that might be your last meal for 3 days, which in that case is a coping mechanism. And in this case, it is a fear pacifier. So the reason that you need to be aware of your fears or where they're coming from is because then you're able to say to yourself in those moments, oh, I don't need to overeat because there will be food tomorrow. Or I took more than I could eat on my plate, and because you took that, you're supposed to eat it. But it's like, no, you can put that in a Tupperware and save it for tomorrow. Save it for later tonight if you're still hungry. But allow yourself the time and the space to realize that your body is safe. There is no threat of not being able to eat tomorrow. And I do know that there are people in the world that this is still a real thing. But for the sake of talking about fear in an unhealthy way, we're just going to go with this. So when you continue to be present in fear and talk through to yourself and explain the safety, or even just use affirmations like, I am safe, I can listen to my body, I can eat until I feel full. And, remind yourself that if you eat, put your food away, and you're still hungry later, it's safe and okay to eat. That creates that predictability that can change fear. And it doesn't necessarily, in this case, turn fear into excitement. I mean, it could. You could be excited to eat your meals, but it is healing that fear or that mental block that isn't even yours. It is from generations before you, and you just realize that you don't want to live this way anymore, and that's where the generational healing comes up. That's just one form of fear that we can experience. There's actually a professor or a doctor, I'll link it down below, I can't remember at this moment, but that coined that there are 3 cultures of fear. And I'm going to read them so that I make sure I get them right. The first one is an aversion fear. So this isn't enough, and your coping mechanism or your fear pacifier is engaging in behaviors that avoid the feeling of shame or like self-doubt or anything along those lines. An example would be, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that this YouTube video is absolutely flawless and perfect, so that when I post it, I don't feel shame because I mispronounced something or I, misquoted something and now it's not perfect. Therefore, I'm not safe. I'm not worthy. So that's how that kind of comes up. The next one's scarcity, meaning there's not enough. So the way that this shows up in a person is they become competitive, overprotective, a little bit selfish, not a little bit, usually they just are flat out selfish. And that is to avoid those feelings. So let's say you grew up in a house with 2, 3, even 7 kids, and you had a fear coming from a place of scarcity because you were afraid that there was not enough love from the parents to go around. So that would cause you to be competitive with your siblings. That would cause you to be overprotective of your time and attention with your parents, and become selfish about the parents showing attention to another sibling because you felt like their attention meant you're not getting any, or you're not getting love, and you're like scraping to fill your Maslow's hierarchy of need cup that says, yeah, humans need attention and love to grow and survive and thrive. So that's where that kind of scarcity fear can look and show up in real life. The last one is unworthy, and I kind of touched on that in the first one. Unworthiness can cause someone to behave in ways that they know that failure is going to happen, so they don't even try, or they're never going to be able to meet an expectation that someone set for them or that they've set for themselves. And so either they will overperform in order to try to meet an expectation that they end up sometimes exceeding, or they just shut down and believe that they're not enough, so they don't even try. And hopefully by these examples, you can kind of see how this becomes your personality. This becomes how you navigate through the world, because your body and your brain is trying to keep you safe. Your ego plays a huge part in that part of us. And when I say ego, I don't mean ego like, oh my gosh, that guy's such a big ego, he's so full of himself. It's actually the human part of us, the part of us that is our tangible body, the part of us that kind of is, the caveman or the lizard part of our brain that's just out here to keep us safe and protect us from physical and non-physical threats. And our higher self is our self that's like our soul self, the part that's like really connected to the universe and is very connected to whatever your version of like a heaven or, any celestial kind of thing. Like that's where your higher self lives, but it's still connected within our physical self. So when we lean into our fears in a way that becomes selfish, or thinking you're not enough, or trying to constantly avoid shame, you're leaning into your ego. You're not leaning into your higher self, that part of you that wants the utmost good for you, the part that wants you to grow and learn and expand and become abundant. And that is the real you. But in order to survive, we do need the ego. And that's not to say that the ego is bad. It's just something that we need to be mindful of. The way that you can heal yourself from fear and from feeling like you aren't truly yourself because you're navigating through the world in ways that aren't even your own thought patterns, because they've been handed down to you, or they came from an experience that, I was bullied about the way that I looked so much growing up that I believed that my worthiness came from my appearance. The way that you do that is with healthy boundaries. And healthy boundaries are typically rules that you set for yourself. They're not rules that you project onto other people, although I will kind of describe how it might seem that way in just a second with an example. But healthy boundaries are rules that you give yourself to live your life, to say, okay, this situation, I've had enough, like I'm tapping out. A good example would be if your friend is telling you that they're ugly and they're just, they think they're hideous or something. And you may have spent years trying to validate them and make them feel beautiful, or, it's just a thing that comes up every day. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm just so ugly. And what they're looking for is validation. And that's okay that they're seeking that, because sometimes, yes, we do need that, but if they're doing it every day, it's unhealthy. So a way to protect yourself and negate a fear of being with your friend and they're just going to talk about how ugly they are, and I don't think that, and I don't want to put myself in that situation, is by saying, look, I think that you're beautiful, and I have done everything in my power to help validate that in you, and I would never say bad things about you. I would never condone someone else saying bad things about you. Therefore, I won't let you say bad things about you in my presence. If you continue to do that, I'm going to leave. I can't hang out with you. I love you still. I'll call you later. We'll hang out later, but I'm just going to have to leave for the day. It shows them who loves you and wants to hang out with you and they're your friend that if you continue this behavior, I can't remain here. So that puts the ball in their court saying, either you stop or I'm leaving. So they have to choose which one they want to go with. And this typically gives the person perspective on their own issues, and they might seek therapy to learn, like, oh, maybe this is a problem that I am constantly thinking this about myself. And it's not just a normal part of life that we condone our friends talking bad about themselves constantly. And so then they might actually go seek help, but you've put up a healthy boundary that is loving and shows, I will still be here for you. I still love you. I still want to be your friend, but I'm done with this specific interaction. That actually creates opportunity to get closer and have a better relationship with that friend, because they will feel safe knowing that if something is wrong or if you have an issue with them, you will bring it up. So they're never going to be walking on eggshells wondering, oh my gosh, should I just say something stupid and now they're mad at me or whatever. Like, you never have that reeling behavior in your head because this person is consistent and I can trust them and know that if I've bothered them, they will tell me. And it gives you an opportunity to become closer with the person because you are giving yourself an out and you're protecting yourself by creating space for conversation in a way that is healthy. I'm going to do another video on healthy boundaries because it is a very deep dive topic. It's kind of its own language in my mind, because coming up with ways of putting up healthy boundaries that is actually healthy and phrased well took me a while to learn what to say in certain circumstances. And there are certain nuanced situations where healthy boundaries will never work because of a person's headspace. And I'll cover that in the next video too. But I just wanted to kind of give you the ticket on how to get out of fear and move into a healing environment. I did want to cover how lack of healthy boundaries might show up in someone, because you'll know, like, oh, my friend doesn't have healthy boundaries, or oh, I don't have healthy boundaries. The way that this might show up is, I'm reading the list, someone will have a very unbalanced life. They'll have a victim mindset. They're frequently resentful. They're a yes man. They're people pleasers. They need to be liked all the time by everyone, always. They never want to be a disappointment. They're easily manipulated. They avoid confrontation. They will keep the peace at all costs, even a cost to their physical, mental, emotional health. And they hold honor and respect as extremely high values. So much so that they will hate or not want to interact with someone that they perceive that honor and respect aren't high values in that person. People pleasing is not done out of love. It is done out of fear. Healthy boundaries are done out of love, not done out of fear. If you can identify yourself as a people pleaser, I want to invite you to look into, where is that fear coming from? Why do you feel unworthy? Why do you feel like you have to meet someone's expectation in order to get love or attention from them? Find out where that's coming from inside you. Journal about it. Meet with me. We can discuss, childhood traumas. We can discuss traumas that have happened within your life, or instances that you're like, I've identified with some of these behaviors. I just cannot figure out where they're coming from, and we'll talk about it and we'll discover it. But then you have the key to unlock and let go of fear. You get to create a new life because you have let go of old thought patterns that aren't yours and that aren't feeding your highest good. And you get to create a life that you want to live from there forward. I would love to meet with you. I would love to talk about where this fear might be coming from, and we can co-create a plan of action and how to move forward and how to let go of these fears, how to create healthy boundaries for you, for yourself, or for people around you, and how you want to interact with them. Again, if any of this didn't make sense, or you want me to kind of explain it in a way that is your learning style, please comment below what your learning style is. Something that you need me to cover again, I would love to do that. Go to my Instagram page, thewhole.rn, DM me, and I will send you my link to get scheduled with me. I am so happy that you were here today. Thank you so much for giving yourself a gift of healing. There's nothing more beautiful than giving yourself that gift. Thank you so much for watching, and peace and blessings. I'll see you on the next one.